Hello, welcome back. A project from the heart, which really took me quite some time. In this video, I love to compare the Kraftwerk German original first pressings against their first pressing counterpart from Japan. You know, I got into Japanese music, into Japanese first pressings, and also in Japanese releases as first pressing from bands we all know, and in many cases those Japanese releases have been very convincing, really great stuff. And so I decided at a certain point to get into the Japanese first releases, first issues of Kraftwerk 2. And yeah, we will do this video in several parts. So we start with the part with the first three Kraftwerk records. Here you have the German originals on the Philips label, which for whatever strange reason they didn't consider or did not consider them as part of the Kraftwerk canon. I've read that, I have no idea why. And yeah, now I show you the Japanese counterparts, which are not on gatefold. You know, the German first issues, the originals, are on a gatefold on the Philips label. The German, which is the rarest amongst the Kraftwerk releases, the Ralph and Florian, is not on a gatefold, but it comes. And please, if you get into that release, try and get this wonderful, huge poster. It's really a lovely poster. So make sure that if you buy this release, that you get it with the poster. This is really worth the wait in some cases, and yeah, I really can recommend that. Of course, the Japanese releases, they come with those wonderful obis. Also the Ralph and Florian, of course, has his obi. They are also at the Philips label, but they came out a few years later, I think 3 years later, 1976. Yeah, 4 to 3 years later. The Germans are from let me see, early 70s. Yeah, 3 to 4 years earlier. We have it, I think it's 71, this one. Yeah. And yeah, of course, at that time, Kraftwerk, with those first three releases, they haven't been that famous, that popular. But of course, those three records are amazing achievements. And what's really stunning, really stunning, you know, I love it when, and I'm very lucky with my releases, when the cover is still, the jacket is still relatively white. But this is a killer. I mean, in this condition, the jacket, it's still totally white. With this really is amazing. The obis are like new, and yeah, that's quite something. Although I also have to say, in general, when it comes to relatively rare records from Japan, the obi is really a game changer. 1 out of 20 sometimes has the obi, so it's really tough to get it with a very nice, very intact obi. Yeah, okay, that's the surroundings. That's what's to know about those editions. But how was the comparison? What happened when I compared those? And I put those three together because the experience in general was quite similar when it comes to these three editions. The German originals have a way higher dynamic range. The punch is quite considerably stronger than on the Japanese release, on the Japanese first pressings. The vinyl quality of the Japanese releases is a stunner, a very silent, very, very silent, beautiful vinyl. Amazing, really amazing. Separation and stuff like that is on par. The sound of the record, with the Japanese, you have a little bit more focus on the mid-range. Of course, that might be the case. That might be the reason, so that you have a higher dynamic on the German ones. But the music, this krautrock, the flute you have on those records really benefit from the high dynamic. So that is why I would say in this case that the Germans have a little heads up against the Japanese releases. They are overall the more impactful, the more immersive ones. Although, of course, the flute and for example, Ruckzuck, of course, the flute can almost hurt your ears, but that is intended. You don't have that on the Japanese releases. But again, for my taste, I'd say I would prefer the German originals when it comes to these 3 releases. Okay, next round, Autobahn. Yeah, Autobahn, as I said, here is the German original pressing. And you know, when it comes to Autobahn and Kraftwerk and the USA, it's always fahren, fahren, fahren auf der Autobahn. This was, I think, their biggest hit in the USA, and so a lot of our American friends see Kraftwerk with Autobahn. Autobahn, in my personal opinion, is like an intermission. It's in between the krautrock and the more electronic orientated music of Kraftwerk. A wonderful album, always a pleasure to listen. I remember when I drove with my son when he was 3, 4, 5, we always listened to Autobahn, fahren, fahren, and he was fahren, fahren, and he sang it. I will never ever forget that. That really was amazing. Yeah, Autobahn in Germany, it is or was at the Philips label. The Japanese version. The Japanese version you can see here, again with the obi, that is at the Vertigo label. Here you can see it on Vertigo, and it comes with a beautiful Japanese piece of paper. I cannot read it to you. Here is the back side. I love those obis. It's cool. And of course for the Japanese, it's everything but useless. You know, here is Kraftwerk Autobahn. It's easy for us, but not if you are Japanese. So you need that obi. And I can imagine that is the reason why we do have those obis, because they want to keep the original cover art, but also make the people in Japan be able to read what they get. Yeah. Comparison between the German Autobahn original pressing and the Japanese one. The Japanese one again is on that amazing silent vinyl. It's again a little bit more mid-range orientated, which gives it an different perspective. That's not the right word. Just gives it a different feeling. And in that case, with these 2 releases, I am simply not able to say which one I do prefer. For me, they are different, but in a way on par. The German has again its advantages in the dynamics. The Japanese one is the more audiophile release. Yeah, I think that is how you can say it. The Japanese is the more audiophile. The German one is a little bit more lively and bah, right into the face. Okay, that was Autobahn. And now Houston, we have a problem. I get into that right now. One of the album of the century, Radioaktivität. For now, I just have the German version. I'm sorry, I don't have the Japanese right now because I haven't found yet a perfect copy with an obi and everything in amazing condition. So I cannot compare that one to the Japanese release. As soon as I get one, I will deliver a small video where I compare those. I just want to put it here because if you watch it and if you are interested in the first pressing, make sure that you get a copy with the complete radioactivity stickers, the inner sleeve. And if you do so, you get one of the best albums of the 20th century, in my opinion. This album is a killer, a killer. Cannot compare, sounds wonderful, trust me on that one. But as soon as I get my copy, as soon as I find a perfect copy, I will deliver this comparison. Sorry. But now we go on with two other releases. Now we go on with Trans-Europa Express, where I have both copies. And we go on with Computer World, where I also do have both copies. Trans-Europa Express, German first pressing. If you get a German first pressing, inner sleeve and poster. Make sure that your copy has it. So if not, wait until you find one. That would be my advice. The Japanese version, different cover with the obi, different label. It is on the Capital label. Show you the back side. Here you can see it. Then you have also an inner sleeve and cryptic text on a piece of paper. Yeah, there's one downside when it comes to the next two records. That goes for both of the records. The Japanese ones are in English. Of course, international market. The German original is in German. The other goes for the other two we talk about. I just forgot to mention, of course, we talk about Menschmaschine, are in English. For me, that's a little downside, but of course understandable when you consider the marketing. They need to earn money. Their equipment was probably quite expensive. Yeah, this is an amazingly cool, great, beautiful, fantastic sounding album. And here the Japanese version kills it. It kills it. The quiet vinyl, the concentration on the mid-range gives it such a beautiful body and sharpness that it even beats the unbelievable good sounding version. It simply does. The Japanese version, when it comes to the sound, is spectacular. Really spectacular. Took my breath away. I'm just sad that they didn't do them also in German. That would of course be amazing. But now I have the German and the English version. And as I said, sound-wise, this is a total killer. Really, really, really a killer. Next one, of course, the big international breakthrough, at least here in Europe, was Man Machine. When you buy a German first pressing of Menschmaschine, then please look that you get 3 times the double L. Get it? When it's on the title of Das Model, the model. Here you can see it. Here, Das Model with double L for the first time. Then you need it as a second time on the inner sleeve. Here we go. Here you can see it, I hope. Here you can see it again. I hope that worked. Yeah, I think so. And third time, and then you have a level up on the back side of the jacket. So 3 times double L is the edition, the first pressing, the original to go. The Japanese version is again on the capital label. Let's show you the back side. Again, of course, this Japanese piece of paper. And here you can see the model with 1 L. Yeah, and again, English language on the Japanese one, but killer sounding. But the German is killer sounding too. The Japanese adds just a little more flesh to the bodiness of the music. So there's a lot of things happening in those later Kraftwerk records. Same goes for Computer Welt. There's a lot of happening. It's almost like a movie where you have all these little details, and there is a sound, there is one, then it comes from here and then it goes to there. And the Japanese version gives a little more body to it, and again we have it more concentrated on the mid-range. You know, I can imagine we are talking 80s here now, and the Japanese are doing very, very well, and the master engineers in their laboratories, they were aware of the average sound system in the Japanese households, and they knew we can go for it. And that's what they did in those 3 later releases from Kraftwerk. They went for it. Amazing. Really, really amazing. Of course, the collectability, both of them have their collectabilities, but the main collectability, of course, stays with the German originals. Also because they have the German text, they sing in German, that's for me quite important. But sound-wise, those Japanese releases are wow, wow, really wow. So, last record for today in this video is the fantastic Computer Welt. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant release. I really love that record. I love every track. This is for me also a perfect record. And by the way, this Japanese release here, which is on the EMI label, like the German one too, this record I remember as a German version when this one, as a Japanese version when this one came out in Germany. We had that huge record store in Cologne, it was called Saturn. And they had a Japanese version of this record, and I asked them why. And the guy told me, because they sound amazing. And that was the first time somebody made me aware of the fact that records can sound different. Long time ago, I didn't take that too serious. I heard it, I found it interesting. I saw the price, which was unbelievable high for a record at the time, and thought, yeah, probably. It has to sound better when I see the price. But that was the first time I got in contact with with that kind of insanity in a way. Yeah, and again, those three, the Trans-Europa Express, the Man Machine, and the Computer World, the Japanese versions are sounding fantastic. 10 out of 10, the Germans 9.5 out of 10. It's close, don't get me wrong, it's not day and night. Those are amazing sounding records. But that was a quite interesting experience, and I think one of the main reasons also might be this amazing vinyl they used in Japan at that time. That for sure really does help, I'm quite sure. Yeah, so now I owe you a small video about radioactivity, comparing those against the Japanese first pressing. And yeah, that was quite a lot of listening to Kraftwerk again, which was a pleasure, to be honest. And a lot of comparison. I hope it was enjoyable and you find it interesting. So, thank you very much for your time, and see you on the next one. Bye.